Okay, so I thought I'd start with the planted aquascaping books, and if I'm honest, I think this is the biggest pile of books you're going to see in this video. Hello guys, welcome to Alasdair Aquatics. I hope you're doing well. So the topic of today's video is of course books, and as you can see, I've got a lot of them. I'm starting to collect my own fish tank book library. I have books on a variety of topics and I wanted to talk to you about them today. The reason I wanted to talk about books is because there's something that's not really going to go away anytime soon. There's a great love for books out there, and although we have great things like YouTube, you're currently watching this video of me on YouTube, and there's great sort of fish tank related content out there, sometimes nothing compares to on a rainy day you picking up an actual physical book and giving it a read. Now my plan for this video is to go through a few different varieties of books. So I have books ranging from planted aquascapes to reef tank books to books about fish from a specific location. So I'm just going to sort of go through each sort of category, if you will, and talk to you about them. And I'm going to talk about the sort of main ones that I've found. And if you think, Alasdair, you know, you've shown us your books on planted aquascapes, you've missed this one, put it in the comments. I want to know, and I'm sure everyone watching does too, and I will be sure to put the names and authors of all these books in the comments. And hopefully this can act as sort of a guide if maybe you're out there and you've been into the fish tank hobby for a while, or you're just getting into it and you want some books. A big sort of issue I had was tracking down the exact ones I wanted, because these are quite frankly quite specialist books and not the easiest to track down. Now I won't lie to you guys, some of these in particular, especially things like the older Takashi Amano books I have, are going to be really quite tricky to track down. Quite a few of these I had to have shipped from other countries, but a lot of the books here are sort of newer and sort of more widely available. So what I'm going to do is make sure we sort of build up this library and, you know, leave some ideas in the comments. Which books do you think will be really interesting for you? And again, yeah, if there's any I've missed or any you think I should know about, please leave it in the comments down below, because yeah, I love learning. And I think that's a sort of real important thing in this hobby. We should learn as much as possible. I know if you go back 5 years ago, say, when I was just keeping planted tanks, I almost put up a brick wall against saltwater marine tanks. No, don't want to learn that. What I realized is a couple of years after that, I sort of took the plunge and spent hours and hours researching, watching videos, and I realized, hey, this isn't that tricky. And perhaps if I had some of the books I have now, I would have been able to sort of find out how reef tanks work a lot quicker. So there's sort of a quick example of how I found these books useful. Okay, so I'm going to start off by talking about the biggest pile of books you're going to see in this video. This is my planted tank and aquascaping related books. Now, the video would be hours long if I really went in depth into every single book I have here, but I just wanted to show you them, and I'm going to mention them down in the comments down below. But I've got 6 books by Takashi Amano. He's sort of the grandfather of aquascaping in the planted tank. He really helped pave the way for the modern planted tank that we see today, and his books have some absolutely stunning photography. But those books in particular are the ones that I would probably say are going to be most tricky to track down, because some of them are quite old, and a lot of these I did have to buy from abroad and have them shipped over. My most recent book in this pile is the book called Aquascaping by George Farmer, and it's just a sort of step-by-step guide into setting up and maintaining planted tanks and aquascapes. And I really enjoyed that book, read it front to back, and I have to admit, I went and got myself a signed copy. So yeah, I found that to be a great book. There's things like the training days. I think it's called My Training Days in Japan, and that's a book by Knott about his time when he went and travelled to Japan and sort of almost studied under Takashi Amano, and that book's really interesting, a great insight into aquascaping and sort of planted fish tank care. I've got a book here by, I think it's James Findlay and the Green Machine, and it's called The Art of Aquascaping. Again, another one with some fantastic photography of these aquascapes, and really sort of a book that talks about how they're set up, and yeah, really interesting if you're into aquascapes. And then in terms of books that are maybe more scientific, more in terms of plant care, you could maybe look towards things like the book about the Walstad method and the book called Aquarium Plants by Christel Kasselmann. These are quite sort of in-depth books about aquatic plants and how to care for them. And in case of the Walstad method, that's more about how aquatic plants influence the ecosystem within your fish tank. So yeah, there are some great books here, and they all provide inspiration in some way, whether it's helping you out of that tricky plant species that you just can't seem to get to grow, it just always seems to die, or maybe you just want some inspiration for your next planted tank. Now for me personally, that's what I use these books for most. That's why most of them are ones that have a lot of photography in them. You know, I love to read these books and really see the pictures of these tanks that are set up. I find it really inspirational and really interesting. So there we go, guys. There's the planted tank books. And of course, I will leave names and authors to all these books in the comments down below. Now, onto my reef tank books. There's a variety of books out there, some more detailed than others. As you can see, I've got 3 volumes of the Reef Aquarium book here. So some books go really quite in depth into sort of philosophies and knowledge about reef aquariums, whereas some give a more basic beginner guide, and depending on where you are in the hobby, that's something you might want to bear in mind when picking a book. Myself personally, I am yet to set up a big marine tank. It's something I really look forward to doing in the future, but for now I keep it on the Nano side of things. So I've read this book by C.R. Brightwell called the Nano Reef Handbook. So, you know, exactly what I would want to be reading, considering I only keep nano reef tanks, and, you know, this really gives me an in-depth guide into specifically that. So yeah, any other reef tank books out there that you think are really interesting, be sure to leave them in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to leave the title and author for all these books in the comments. This is my tortoise book. I don't know how this got in here. But yeah, if you've got tortoises, maybe get some tortoise books. On to the final sort of 2 groups of books. This is going to be about sort of specific fish or animal care, or about maybe fish from a specific area. So there's some great books out there that are maybe show great photography. For example, this one called Fishes of the Orinoco in the Wild has some absolutely stunning photography. This is probably my most recent addition into this group, and yeah, some great inspiration there, some great photography. Some other books I've got sort of more recently, this one, Fishes of the Lake Tanganyika, and that's a great book. That's by Pierre Brichard, who I think actually the fish Neolamprologus brichardi is actually named after. So who better to learn about the fish from that lake than the man who some of the fish are named after, you know? There are things like fish encyclopedias, which are always useful. Sometimes, even if they're old, you know, the fish haven't changed much in 30 years. Maybe the care has, but the fish themselves haven't. Maybe you want to learn more about coral. There's, you know, some great books out there to do with coral, maybe clownfish, maybe fighting fish, maybe nano planted tanks. You know, there's some great stuff. And I've also got this book, which is half Japanese, half English, about setting up a koi pond, which is something I want to do in the future as well. So there's some real niche books here, and there's more niche books out there. You know, maybe you're interested in another specific type of fish or another specific locale, look it up. You know, there's some, and maybe think about getting that book, because there's some really interesting stuff out there that could provide you with some great knowledge. Okay, so we come to the end of that video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time talking about these books. There's something that provides me a great source of inspiration. I'm constantly adding to the books. And one thing I find, you know, is I might read a book and 3 months later, 6 months later, pick it back up again, look through it again. You know, I'll remember a specific picture or a specific little quote or a specific paragraph about something that maybe answers a question that I was thinking about, or will provide that bit of inspiration for the next tank. So I really think they're a great physical thing to have in terms of giving you some inspiration. And maybe if you're sick and tired of staring at a screen, pick up a book. But like I said, it's not a review. This is just my general view towards books in the hobby. And hopefully by providing you with the list of books that I own, it will help create maybe a beginner catalogue for people out there who maybe want to get some books, don't know where to start, because it is quite tricky to track these sort of quite niche books down. And of course, like I've mentioned before, if you did enjoy this video and you're interested in seeing some more fish tank related stuff, I have a wonderful video coming out soon about a great new Nano fish tank, which I'm sure you guys are going to find really, really interesting. So be sure to hit that subscribe button if things like that is something you want to see more of. And be sure to leave some comments. You know, are there any great fish keeping books you've got? Let's really try and help the community out, the fish keeping community, and leave some titles and authors of great fish keeping books down in the comments, because I'll find it interesting and I'm sure a lot of the viewers will too. Okay guys, so take it easy. Bye for now. Thank you for watching. Bye. Books.